Welcome to part 2 of the TarValon Talks Ajah Takeover. In this episode, our hosts Dianna, Dorian, and Fenya will be speaking with members from the Green, White, and Blue Ajahs.
Hi everyone, this is Dianna. I am here today with Dovienya Sedai, the Captain General of the Green Ajah, who has kindly agreed to talk to us about a little bit about green for our Ajah interviews. Thank you, Dovi, so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited to get to talk to the head of green about green. That's awesome. So let's go ahead and dive right in because I'm so curious. So what makes green unique to the other Ajahs on the site?
On the site or in the book?
On the site.
I think the main expected answer is the number of warders that the Sedai are allowed to bond. We're also known as the Battle Ajah. One thing that I really liked was when we have like an Amyrlin inducted, the Green Ajah actually makes the same pledge as the guiding company. We offer our sword to her service.
That's so cool. How many warders are Greens allowed to bond relative to everyone else?
Currently, the normal amount of bonds is 3. So we have one more than everyone else other than the Red Ajah. And of course, if you get enough merit, you can have that extra bond. So some people can have 4 warders in the Green Ajah. It is possible.
That does feel correct for green.
Yes, it sounds like an awful lot of relationships to maintain now. I'm like, oh, that's a lot of work. You got to train them and everything.
Relationships are great, though. How does the Green Ajah on the site differ from book greens?
Well, obviously, we don't have front lines that we're rushing off to fight Trollocs. We don't have a borderlands or armies. So it's almost like a social justice or an I'm standing up for this particular thing. That's how it manifests in our real life Green Ajah on the site. Almost akin to how the Blue acts with their causes. And so we kind of find other battles to fight. A lot of them are internal battles that we struggle with and try to overcome.
Cool. There are members of the Green Ajah that are former military background as well. So
absolutely, I'm one of them.
Yep, exactly. So we can still be found on the front lines as well. I say we as a green, I am now a green, so as well, for full disclosure for people who don't know.
Yes, you are.
Wearing a green sweatshirt today and everything.
Green t-shirt.
If the Green Ajah had a mascot, what would it be?
You sent me a list of questions, and this is the one I think I thought hardest on, and I'm going to say a cat.
Interesting. Why a cat?
We know we're fabulous. We know we look fabulous, but we're pretty feisty if we don't like something. We'll fight back.
That does sound like cats.
Yeah.
What traditions are unique to green?
Well, I'm going to bring up our Green Ajah drink, Balefire. I think that's pretty unique. It is Goldschlager and Rumpelmitz, 50-50. Some people have described it as weaponized mouthwash. I think it's delicious, but I almost grew up on this stuff. Greens are very welcoming when it comes to sharing their Balefire.
I had my first Balefire at JordanCon this year, and I loved it. I think I had like 3 or 4 shots. It was delicious.
Oh, it's dangerous stuff.
It is dangerous. It definitely hit me hard.
Yeah.
But it's so good. So I'm with you. I think Balefire is delicious. What is your favorite event that you have attended as green?
I'm actually a relatively new green. I've been around the greens, since I'm in Michigan, and there's a lot of greens here since I joined the site. But I've only been a green for a couple of years. And I would say the Annie a couple of years ago in Tennessee was probably my favorite event. There were just so many of us there. And it was wonderful to hang out with people from the Green Ajah, especially after such a long, break with COVID. And it was just a wonderful experience.
That's awesome. What did you guys get up to?
What didn't we get up to? Obviously, our toasts can get a little wild. I think it was just mainly spending time together in the cabins and hanging out, doing the first sibling ceremonies and bondings and everything. It's a wonderful community to be a part of. And the Green Ajah is so welcoming. A lot of times we'll invite everyone that we can to events just to share, in what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I've experienced even before like officially joining green. Like it was probably the most welcoming Ajah.
Yeah.
Maybe green or gray. Gray is also incredibly welcoming, but green had this like special level of like engagement that really like struck me. I
Yeah.
agree. I think it's one of the most welcoming Ajahs. Why are you proud to be part of green?
Actually, you hit the nail on the head. It's a very welcoming Ajah. And that's just something that I appreciate personally so much. When I was guesting the last time around and I was thinking very seriously about where I might end up, I realized that when I was with green, it felt like I had taken off a mask and I was able to actually show myself to the people in the green Ajah. I didn't have to pretend to fit in between the lines. There are no lines with the green Ajah. It's just be who you are and be genuine. And it's very refreshing to be around people like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is all the questions that I have for you today, Dovi. Thank you so much for joining and for talking about green. This was super fun. I love getting to talk about green now because green's the best.
Yes, me too.
But no, I'm going to attempt to be biased this one.
Oh, I am so happy you joined us in green. You're green through and through.
Oh, thank you. That's what everyone says. It's true. I just didn't realize it until it suddenly hit me like a big old smack in the face. Like, hello.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm so happy I'm there, and it was so great to talk to you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, hello. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Always glad to. I am Dorian, your host for this interview, and if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Well, my name is Aduiavas, or mostly known as Ida, because it's easier to pronounce. I am currently the head of the White Ajah at TarValon.net.
And at TarValon.net, we have, of course, our many Ajahs and wonderful companies, but why don't you just start with relating to me? What drew you to the White Ajah when you first aspired?
Well, I noticed that the people in the White Ajah were quite different, but we still have kind of the mindset that we want to figure out the world. We all accept that we have different opinions, and we're all many able to see different sides of a conflict, even if we disagree with them. But we will still be able to accept that people have different values, as long as, of course, they're not harmful towards other people.
It's a wonderful philosophy, definitely. And in that regard, the White Ajah, or certainly from your perspective, is similar to how it operates in the book?
Well, both yes and no. First off, of course, half of us are not secretly black. And second, of course, we live in the real world, not in a relatively secure tower. So we can't completely detach ourselves from the world and just, ponder philosophy.
Black Ajah. I've never heard of such a thing. It's interesting.
No, me neither.
Yeah, no, everyone knows it's not real.
So yeah, but we're not like emotionless. Some even say that we have more emotions than some other people. But that's also why it's encouraged to try to use logic to better understand ourselves and the world around us, to strive to not let our actions be driven only by our emotions.
I agree. That's I did not anticipate this being the potential subject for the interview. I happen to be a philosophy major myself, not so long ago in college, and it's an interesting thing to think about. The reason helps us to reflect and to persuade, but what you just expressed there is a lot of passion for this. That you're not soulless, emotionless robots, and those are things that are complementary, even though they're often depicted as opposed to one another. That's really lovely.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a history major, so for me, I'm able to use open logic and philosophy to see why different parts of the world are the way they are, and also think a very white way to think of things instead of just recording what happens
dispassionately.
Yeah, if such a thing is possible.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit more about the White Ajah on TarValon.net. Do you have any favorite moments that you've experienced being part of the White Ajah or events, either online or off?
That's a very tough choice to choose. I think many of us would have the very first live event that we were on, when you suddenly meet this person that you call a very good friend but have never met. And you know that you're not meeting a stranger, you're meeting a friend.
What was the first live event you attended?
For me, that was the Euro Annie in Britain in 2011. I was meeting with another white sister to drive from Gatwick to where the event was. So she was from Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
So she had to drive on the wrong side of the road. So I had to navigate, and she had printed out the map and instructions. This was before, Google Maps. The problem was that she had printed out those instructions in French. So me not speaking French were completely useless instructions. But we managed.
She was Swiss?
Yeah.
That's their, oh God, I can never remember. Switzerland, they speak French and German usually, right? And English, of course.
And they speak French and German and Italian.
Right, just throw another one in the mix. I'm sitting here, the ignorant American. Every word of Spanish I learned before the age of 10.
I don't know any Spanish, or French.
I don't know if you've seen the gag about French language. The French word for bird, oiseau. I can't pronounce it, but it's got every single vowel in it, and not a single one of them is pronounced phonetically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try not to bag on the French too much. That was a bad habit in my youth. Now just Parisians. So that European event. How many more live events have you been to in Europe? Can I ask?
Oh, I really don't know. I think at least 5 or 6. I've also been to a few Annies.
Stateside?
Yeah, in America, I've been to 3.
Wonderful. Do you have a favorite?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was the 11th Annie in Estes Park. That's actually one of the highlights of the White Ajah. I think everybody who was there will remember that.
Oh, tell me about it. This was before my time.
This was the very first Amulet investiture ceremony, when Elaine stepped down as Amerlin and Viv stepped up as a second Amerlin. So of course that was a very emotional evening. And a lot of kind words were said during the ceremony, obviously. So that's definitely one of those moments I'll remember forever. However, there was a lot of things happening before that. There was a series of crazy shenanigans that had happened earlier in the day, including the Blue Ajahs stealing our mascot, Mama White, leading to us kidnapping Viv's mentee, leading to the White Ajah then being chased by Viv's warder, Sean, who's a very big man.
Oh no!
So all of that led up to then when we were at the ceremony, I was one of the representatives for White. So then when, Viv came and asked if we would accept her as Amelin, we had gotten permission to actually refuse. So the look of utter confusion on Viv's face was actually kind of priceless.
Oh gosh. It's that moment you always hope doesn't come at the wedding, where it's like, should anyone disagree with this union, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, it was pretty much like that. And we were like the second or third to last. So she had already gone through this with like all the other groups.
Oh, the timing.
So she then had to wash the feet of the other Whites before we would stand for her.
Did you at least have a basin on hand?
Oh yeah. It was very well planned. We had the third sister who came out and with the basin of water. So
I don't know which way would be better. Obviously, this is great. The planning, the execution is so good. I part of me wonders if it wouldn't have been as so we'll wait here. You go fetch some water.
No, the moment we stood up and said that, the third sister was there with the water ready.
God, amazing.
Yeah, not everybody was happy about it, mainly because they had wanted to do it too.
No.
But it really turned into one of those moments that you'll definitely remember.
I should say so. So you mentioned White has a mascot for the Ajahs. I don't know of another Ajah that has an official mascot. It's one of our questions we've asked them is, what would your mascot be?
Yeah, Mama White is this sort of knitted doll that comes along to events, and it's called Mama White. It was made before the 10th Annie, when Enya, a white sister from Norway, made it to bring to the event because our head of Ajah at the time couldn't be there. So ever since then, Mama White has come to as many events as possible, both in Europe and in the US. So she's traveled across the Atlantic several times, but never via mail, because we could lose her, always in somebody's luggage.
That's so cool. And it's a knitted doll made by which sister did you say?
Enya.
She's still around?
Well, a little bit. She's not very active at the forums at the moment. She's occasionally in Discord.
I mean, I don't want to lament inactivity on the forums. I think everyone's lives are just a little bit too interesting right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly brings to mind the adage, may you live in interesting times, as a curse. Things are far more interesting than I would like them to be. We won't dwell, though. So tell me more about any traditions that the White Ajah has. Obviously, we heard some things about these events, some well-planned and executed mischief, I think we can call it.
Yeah, and another thing we have at events we had a racing show. That is one that's been used every time somebody in white has been raised at an official event. I don't have an exact list of how many has been raised in that shawl, but I know that it's at least 5, probably more. And sort of related to that is we also have what we call unity shawls. Many Ajahs have these very large shawls that in their color, but the whites are different because while they are the same on the outside, with the white flame and fringe, white fringe, on the inside we can each choose what kind of fabric we have. So on the outside we are the same, but on the inside we are unique.
That's gorgeous. Oh, I love that.
And of course, another tradition that goes so far back that nobody really knows exactly how it began anymore is to focus on bubbles.
The bubbles, yes, of course.
Bubbles, yeah. If you want to get on the White Sisters' good side, the best way is to give them bubbles. Obviously, we like them because they're fun.
Yeah, who doesn't like bubbles?
Yeah, but also more philosophically, it's because the bubbles reflect the light and make the white light into a prism. The prism is also another symbol of the white that we use often, because the white light contains all the other colors. And so in white, we often have what we call stripes of other Ajahs in us. Like for me personally, I thought I would be brown or blue. So I was a bit surprised to find my home in white. And I know I'm not the only one. But in white, there's room for people with all the stripes. But the bubbles theme it's taken so far that in our sitting room, instead of threads, we have bubbles. We have the happy bubble. We can share where happy things happen. There's a trouble bubble when some things are not that good. We have the political bubble where we discuss politics, if we're there. Then we have religion bubble to talk about religion things so that not religious people don't have to read about the religious things. So, bubbles for everything. We also have a bubble lab that we occasionally remember to open.
Sorry, a bubble lab?
Yeah, it's in a secret location in TarValon. So we experiment and make different bubbles. Everything from very dangerous purple bubbles that has unknown and varied effects to simple things like, caffeine bubbles to keep awake, or frost bubbles if you want to create a white setting. It has, of course, exploded several times over the years, so it must be handled with very utmost care.
I'm reminded of the Alchemists Guild in Discworld. 2 things they always have in common are very sturdy walls and very light ceilings, and where you might have explosions.
We actually have a list of all of various bubbles in our very outdated community page on the library.
So it sounds like you're very proud of all of these traditions, being part of the White Ajah. You speak so enthusiastically about it. It's wonderful to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a White Sister now for over 10 years, and I've never really seriously considered going anywhere else. Because even though I'm not the same person as I was when I chose, there's still room for being me in white.
It sounds like white has helped you grow even in that way.
In a way, yeah. It certainly opened my quite narrow world to learning about other places.
Well, you don't have to share any personal information about where that was or where you were going, but can I ask, is there somewhere you would like to go in the future, either for an event for TarValon or to see some of your friends, in real life?
Well, if I was independently wealthy, I would travel all around the US, meeting everybody that I know from the site. Though I have already done that with events. They're getting rather expensive.
I love the way you phrase that, independently wealthy, not, if I were a millionaire or if I were, people, often in a place like, no, I just very, if I had means.
Yeah, if I could.
Well, I do hope you can, and I think we're going to be trying to do more of that, and knowing that it's not always affordable for people. You've said so many wonderful things about the White Ajah. You've shared some wonderful memories. What would you say to folks who might be thinking of aspiring to join the White Ajah beyond this just very lovely impression you've given us?
Well, in white, I think you'll find that you'll meet a group of people that are quite open and quite willing to listen. And we want to get to know you and want to listen to what you say. So we are a rather small group and we're rather tight-knit, but there's always room for more people in a group, and we are fiercely protective of our own.
Yeah, that's great. I'm not going to name names. I'm actually not even thinking of folks on TarValon, but being active on other servers and sites, you get that impression sometimes that folks are just there to go and share something and have everyone say, that's rough, or nice job, and then, nothing really comes of it. It sounds like the White Ajah really likes to develop that, earnest dialogue and listening.
Oh, definitely. most of my white sisters I considered my true friends. So, even though some of them I've never met. It's also like, for instance, when one of my sisters then came to Norway for a week, there was no question at all that she could be sleeping in my room right next to me for free. It was like, of course I can. I've never met you, but I know you.
That's a great thing. And it's so wonderful to hear all these ways that TarValon brings people together in exactly that way.
Yeah, and I don't think white is the only group that is that way, but
it deserves to be highlighted.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the books just a little bit. This is the part where I have to confess that I have not finished The Wheel of Time. I am spoilered all to hell, so that's not an issue. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about a lot of the themes and motifs in The Wheel of Time, but is there anything especially that you appreciate in having read them for the first time or your most recent reread? I won't presume when or when that might have been.
Well, I like them because I find the characters are realistic. They're not perfect. Most of them have at least one point where they're incredibly annoying. But I like how we see them struggle with things that we struggle with in our own world, especially with tends to like arrogance, and see how it all comes together at the end.
Jordan is so good at that, crafting the moments of catharsis where everything does come together.
Yeah, even though it takes a bit too long to get there sometimes.
I'm glad you said it. It's certainly not the worst plot I've ever read in a fiction series of just these. Jordan wanted everything to happen exactly the way it does, and I think of a very particular quote from Neil Gaiman where he talks about the need to just like, is this scene not working? Cut it. Don't know what you're gonna write next? Cut the character you love the most, and then see where it takes you. I don't think Jordan ever did that. I think the ambition to have it all really, I mean, can't argue with the results, but you can complain a little bit about how it starts to feel a little stretched.
Yeah, but I honestly didn't think that way on the first time I read it. I only started to feel like that like the third or fourth time I read it, because then I knew where we were going. I just wanted to get to the good parts, not have to read about three characters moving from one room to the other over 10 pages.
Whilst what is it? Patting their skirts, of course.
Oh, naturally.
Yeah, right.
And folding their arms under their breasts.
Right, yeah.
Because any other way would look plainly stupid.
Well, now hold on. I think you might be onto something. Have we tried it the other way around?
I have. It's not not feasible.
Okay. It's the last thing I was expecting. It's like, oh yeah, I've tried it. Oh man. Well, I'm gonna throw this one off the wall then. Do you have a dream costume or cosplay you'd like to do for the Wheel of Time? Again, independently wealthy, money is no object.
Well, I'm not really that much into costumes, but like for me to dress up like in this beautiful dress, looking like the perfect serene Aes Sedai, would be kind of cool. Or an Aiel.
Oh yeah, God, we talk about those sometimes. The Aiel really luck out with just like, it's a very comfortable thing to wear, especially around a convention. Just a few light layers, and then you can just throw a shawl on. I wanted to make sure we didn't go past this question. What makes you proud to be in the White Ajah?
Well, I'd say that despite our recent issues, I still see our Ajah as a group that wants to welcome everyone, wants to understand everyone, and a group that's fiercely protective of our own. And we dislike gossip and drama, though unfortunately we've had our fair share of it. And we want everyone to think about how their action could impact other people and try to see things from their perspective. That is, of course, not easy, and no one is perfect, but it is a goal. We all have something to overcome in our lives, whether that's trauma, neurodivergency, or physical ailments. We have people who struggle every day to make the best choices, and we never stop learning about what the right path is for us. We're always open to learning new things, to hearing about someone else's lived experiences, and to learn about new points of view. We want to listen, but we won't always agree. But I'm proud to be part of a group who's so willing to examine our own opinions and wonder why we think that way, and to be willing to learn and change and grow as people and as a group.
That's so beautiful. And that came from taking this question to your sisters and you worked through it together?
Yeah, so it's a mix of what I answered and what Satara, the heart, answered.
I'm so glad you were able to bring that to us and bring Satara's heart to it as well. Thank you so much for your time, Ida.
You're welcome. This was fun.
I'm glad.
Hello and welcome to the Blue Ajah takeover of TarValon Talks. I'm your host, Fenya, and today I'm here with Raevyn and Alyria of the Blue Ajah. Welcome.
Hello.
Can you both tell us a little bit about yourselves, why you joined the tower, how you found the tower?
So I was reading the series and I felt like there were so many characters that somebody should really write all this down. I'm like, well, I'll start. So I started a Word document of every character I ran into. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to Google. And lo and behold, there was a whole site that had already done that. And that was us. I'm like, oh, how about that? So I decided to join, and that was, 2007. So that's kind of been my story there. I had a lot less work to do once I found the library.
The library is fantastic.
hmm
Raevyn, do you want to tell us how you found the tower?
Yeah, I joined because my sister was already in. So allegedly, according to her, she had tried to get me to start reading this series in like 96. And I don't think I started reading them until 99 or 2000. Or maybe I didn't even start reading them until I joined. I joined in 2002. So it felt like I was a novice for an eternity. Because back then you could rise pretty quickly, and it was a very long time because I had to read a certain amount of books before they were like, okay.
Yeah, I feel like loosening the reading requirement makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody's not into reading, but they're into the show, great. Go for it.
Exactly. Is your sister still on the site?
Oh, yeah, it's Raina. She's a yellow.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't realize you two were sisters. We're actual sisters.
Yes.
What would you say makes the Blue Ajah unique?
I think that in the minds of the people who are in that Ajah, it is unique for them. But a lot of times when you ask that question, you hear the same thing from people in different Ajahs because, that Ajah is comfort to them, it's home to them, it's people who are supportive to them. And it's no different for me being blue, feeling like this is where my closer friends are. This is where the people who I trust with more intimate details are. I've been a blue since I hit the tower. It's just been who I am. So this is the people that I connect with on a slightly deeper level than other member groups.
I don't know. You get asked that question a lot, like when you have people guesting or, when we do things like this. And I guess I haven't been around as long as Ray, but a minute anyway. And we do kind of all have the same sort of answers. But even myself guesting around the first time and the second time, because I'm a gray transplant, I guess, it does seem like when you visit other groups, you do have that unity between everybody. And you'll hear some similar things like, oh, we may have arguments, but we work it out. Or, everybody thinks differently, but we all respect each other. That's pretty common. And I think that's, necessary to make this community work in the first place. So we're all going to have that in common. What I think makes Blue stand out is that I think we really do all live by causes. And not to say that we're the only ones that do, of course. You'll find that in any group. But we will actively find something that needs fixing and fix it. Like, I don't know, you want to equate us to the books, we'll basically be like, okay, I don't like the way these rules are. We're going to rewrite it so it makes more sense. I think all of us have done that at some point or another, within the community or within our real lives. Like, this needs to change, and we're just going to do it. So you'll see that a lot within us. And we really do have arguments between us that we do solve pretty diplomatically.
I mean, there's a couple times where that working out has simply amounted to you and I don't see eye to eye, and we're probably not going to talk very often.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay too, because you cannot guarantee that 100% you will get along with everybody in your member group. Our member groups are so much huger than they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
If 10 people were in your member group, you were pretty big. And, I think we have the second largest member group, or we're tied with Green on the size of the member group. And right now I feel like we have quite a few people active in our member group. So not everybody's opinion is going to be the same. They're not going to be cohesive. They're going to sometimes be at odds with each other. We have, I feel like, a pretty strong bondmate participation. So they also come with different perspectives. I think the big thing about us being able to work out our stuff is that so far we tend to keep it internal.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen any of us, really, with the exception of one thing a while ago, take our issues into public and stomp on each other in public forums.
Right. I know I've definitely disagreed in public with with some of my Ajah mates, but I mean, it's always respectful, and I think that's what it comes down to. Like, I know, like, Morgana and I will butt heads all the time, but we know that about each other, and we know that we see things differently, and a lot of things we agree on. And she'll bring up a point, and I'll bring up a counter, and they'll be like, "Hey, what the," you know? And sometimes we'll talk it out privately, and we're like, "Okay, yeah, we got to work that out."
Mm-hmm.
And it's all to the point of where we respect each other. And I honestly feel like if we have, our environment is what it is. And when you come into it, like if you're visiting, if you're a guest, or if you're a bondmate, and, we welcome everybody instantly. But if for some reason you're not feeling that it's vibing, then
That's okay.
yeah, it's okay. Like, we just don't have that kind of relationship necessarily. And
Mm-hmm.
we find a little, I guess, space for everybody to live alongside each other, if not in the same room, in the same house.
You touched a little bit on how you thought the site Blue Ajah was similar to the books, in that both Ajahs are very cause-driven, and similarly to the Blue Ajah Aes Sedai in the books, you all find these causes that you champion. How do you feel like Blue differs from the book version?
I don't know if we do.
Yeah. We like to be in the know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always want to be like in the middle of drama, but all of us like to be in the know.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to have like our own eyes and ears around and like know what's going on, even if we don't want to like set foot into a specific thing that's happening. But I think some of that, for me, some of that comes out of, I want to understand what's happening so I know the potentials of where we're going.
Right.
I don't know that there is a whole lot of huge difference between what we do on the boards and the books.
Mm-hmm. And even in, our private lives, I feel like we are all, have some cause that we champion.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, to touch off of that, I feel like it seems like we feel like we have a duty to know.
Kind of.
Because we might have to do something, There might need to be some action. That's why we have to. I mean, so many of us are in leadership roles or administrative roles anyway. It just kind of seems like it happens naturally. Like, there was always a big joke that, Blue Takeover, but it just kind of happens that way.
Mm-hmm.
We also have quite a few members who, just like any group, will cycle in and out of activity, which, they're on their little moraine voyages, away from the tower. There are little moraine causes out there moraining, just like anybody else. But then most of the time we loop people back. We wrangle them back in. So we'll all go on little moraine trips every now and then.
Pivoting just a little bit, if the Blue Ajah had a mascot, what would that mascot be?
We have the Cerretits, so those are definitely our mascot. We've gone through a couple phases complementing that. Like, there have been a lot of corgi memes that have floated around. I think a lot of members of the Blue Ajah have cats, so we like show each other pictures of our pets. And then, of course, I think if they could harness anybody from Lord of the Rings and keep him as a pet, they would.
Agreed.
I mean, I gotta say, I'm not blue, but that's very relatable. What traditions are unique to the Blue Ajah?
Brownies.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while, other than St. Louis, before I'd been to a Spring Fling or an Annie. But I know a lot of times somebody's tried to bring them if it's at all possible if they were driving to our live events. I know I've brought some to JordanCon before.
Definitely the brownies, yeah.
That's a delicious tradition. What is your favorite event that you've attended with the Blue Ajah?
There's been a few. I think the Annie where Viv came back to us was one of my favorites, welcoming Viv back after she was Amerlin. I mean, otherwise, I am just excited to be with each other in person. You know, I kind of wish we all lived just a little closer together so that we could have weekend trips to see each other.
I haven't been to too many live events. I was in university and then having babies, and then as soon as I had the time, I moved back to Canada. But the last event I went to, I think it was Fall Ball in Terrytown, the Sleepy Hollow. I mean, that was fun. I can't say anything specific about it, but I hadn't met quite a few people. I think that was my first Blue event, or event I'd been to as Blue. And there were quite a few people that I hadn't met before that I was really excited to meet for the first time that I miss dearly. So I think we can all speak to meeting for the first time in real life events. It's like coming home almost, and then going back to the place where you actually live. It's like you left a piece of you with them. So
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've come to the last question. Why are you proud to be part of the Blue Ajah?
It's just always where I've been. I guess I'm proud that it's always felt like home, that I know that before people were allowed to switch their member group in any way, I never felt ostracized from my member group. I've never felt unwanted or uncared for.
I'm proud of all of us. I'm like proud to be accepted into this group, I guess, because everyone's such amazing people. Everyone just so accomplished and driven and passionate and just good, decent people. I couldn't ask for a better group of like Ajah mates to be part of. It almost feels like I'm proud just to be accepted into the group, and I know it's been a long time, but I still get kind of excited when I look at any of our accomplishments or when anyone, takes a position. I'm like, oh, that's my people. And I get so excited for all of us. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I guess it's your family.
I think that's the perfect note to end this on. Thank you both so much for coming on to TarValon Talks to talk about the Blue Ajah.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for listening to TarValon Talks Ajah Takeover. If you have any questions or if you have any suggestions on topics you would like for us to cover, feel free to reach out to us at producer.tvt@gmail.com. Or you can join us at the TarValon.net Discord server and the TarValon Talks channel. You can also find us on the TarValon.net forums and the TarValon Talks message board. Take care.